Hi, I'm Zane with Zane Engineers Life, and it's Friday story time. So, I'm working at this fancy engineering company, and reminder, I'm literally the dumbest person in the room. Where we're working on this project, and there's an issue with the design, and we end up needing to go to Tucson, Arizona, and give a presentation to the customer to figure out what we wanted to do and if our solution handled what they were having an issue with. So anyway, we put our presentation together. We got it all set up, and I'm going to handle the mechanical design portion of the presentation, and the project manager is going to go with me, and they're going to handle the electromagnetic, radar, electronic stuff, all the things I have no idea what they are. Okay, so we've got some cool slides together. We've rehearsed, and there's going to be some major players from this big customer there. So we really want to do really well, and we want to make sure we capture their business. And remember, there's a major mechanical design issue, and the prior engineer on the project thinks we have a fix for it and has put everything together. I've got models, I got slides, I got pictures, I got drawings, I got the whole thing. Okay. So it's sometime in the winter, I think it was like February, and I'm working my engineering company startup in my basement on nights and weekends. And I'm working at this company during the day and trying to do both equally well. And I'm doing pretty well, and so we're making some extra money. So my wife at the time and I decide to take a few days and go skiing and make a trip out of it. We're going to go to Denver and go ski, and then we're going to fly to Las Vegas and hang out a few days. And then at the end of the trip, I'm just going to meet the project manager in Tucson, Arizona, and we're going to crush this presentation. So I go on my trip and we have a really good time. And I end up parting ways. My wife at the time goes back to Atlanta, and I fly into Tucson, Arizona. And wouldn't you know it, there's snow in Atlanta for that day and the next couple of days. And anyone that's from the South will understand this and chuckle about it. Literally, it takes about a quarter inch to shut this entire city down. Now, no, this was not Snowmageddon, the great monstrous Armageddon that we had in Atlanta when it snowed completely and shut the whole place down. This is just a quarter inch of snow, no big deal. The problem is the dude is snowed in, my project manager, and he's not going to make it. Okay, no big deal. I'll wing it. I can do this presentation on my own. Sure. So anyway, the night before, I'm chilling in the hotel room and I'm watching the local news and I hear some gunshots. And well, I am kind of on the sketchy side of town, so it doesn't completely freak me out, but again, it's gunshots. Well, anyway, a few minutes later, there's a live report on the TV news. And now my chair is facing the TV, and just over the TV is a window. And outside the window, now there are cops, there are lights. I stand up, and literally right out the window, I watch the news people as they film the cops putting a sheet over a body while I'm watching it on TV. So, going well so far, right? Well, anyway, I don't sleep that night at all. So now it's the next morning, and I'm getting all the coffee I can in me, and I'm heading out to the customer to give this big presentation. Well, anyway, I get there and I meet the people and I make small talk, and they walk me literally halfway across the earth because this is a really big customer, massive facility. And they lead me into this massive auditorium, and it's probably got a couple of thousand seats, and it isn't completely full or anything, but there are a lot of people in here. And I'm kind of getting a little nervous. Well, I set up the laptop I've brought with me and I plug into the projector and I get everything set up. And I, introduce myself and I start by letting everyone know that I'm the mechanical and the project manager who is on the electrical and all of that side is snowed in Atlanta. And everyone there laughs because it's 84 degrees outside in Tucson, Arizona that day. Well, I get going on the presentation and I'm almost an eighth of a slide in when one of the guys stops me and asks me, "Are you kidding?" The initial image on the screen, he has a huge problem with. He had communicated in a very clear manner, a very clear need to our company and to the prior engineer had apparently not gotten that information. And basically, I had an image on the first slide on the screen of an extremely non-workable design. Well, I'm relatively new at this company, and I'm on the stage, and what is now feeling like under some really hot set of spotlights. Everyone's looking at me. I have this unworkable design on the screen. I haven't even finished the first slide. Well, I ask him to restate clearly, what is it you're saying? And then I try to state it back to him as I heard it. And at the end I say, so sir, basically what you're telling me is you wanted something very clearly and we didn't listen at all. Is that correct? Well, a group of the customers people, they start discussing it, and I take really careful notes of their discussion and who's in it and who's going back and forth. And I really took my time getting very clear directions from them for what they wanted. Okay, so I start into the second eighth of my first slide, and I'm making note as this feature comes up that I already had an action item for it, and I'm going to be getting them an answer of how it gets fixed. Okay, well, I'm about halfway through the presentation now, and a double E dude has a question. And when he finished asking it, I kind of looked forward for a minute, not at him, but forward. And I said, sir, if you tell me roughly what language that was in, and if you give me a minute or two to sit down at this computer over here and open up a text file, I'll take notes and I'll make sure you get an answer to every question you've ever wanted asked. Well, they loved it. They all started laughing. They were used to people normally telling them what they wanted to hear, and now here's a guy who's literally admitting he has no idea what's going on. And I spent the longest time asking questions over and over and over again. And the cool thing on this was I was really new to the company and the project, so I really had to ask a lot of really clear questions to even understand what they were talking about, much less what the issues were. Well, by the end of the presentation, I've got a list of action items, maybe a mile long, and the customer, every single one of them, now feels like they've been listened to. And I made sure I had very clear information to take back to the company so that we could fix our issues. So the moral of the story, don't stay in a sketchy hotel in Tucson unless you want some excitement. And most importantly, do not ever be afraid to admit when you don't know something, especially in engineering. Be straight with people. Get to the bottom of the issue so it can be solved, and people will respect you. And by the way, we ended up getting a lot more business from that customer, and I like to think it was my lack of knowledge that had something to do with it. Now, if you chuckled a little at the story of me making a fool of myself, I need you to smash that like button. I need you to subscribe. Please share, watch to the end, and get us out there. Tell someone about us. Make one contact for us today, because we really need to get out there and help more people. So I'm Zane with Zane Engineers Life, and we'll make you better.